Professor Rakesh Pandeyji. He is a professor in Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He is a former coordinator, UGC SAP DRS1 in Department of Psychology, Banaras Hindu University. He is an associate editor, Psychological Therapies, Frontiers in Psychiatry, and past editor-in-chief, SIS Journal of Projective Psychology and Mental Health. He is a recipient of Young Scientist Award by Indian Academy of Applied Psychology. Along with that, he has also been awarded with SIS Research Award and BUU Research Award. He is a Vice President, Somatic Inkblot Society, and past Secretary Journal, Indian Academy of Health Psychology. His area of specialization include clinical health psychology, health and well-being, emotion, health and wellness. Sir, please let us know how students can be aware about psychological health in such epidemic conditions. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. And I thank Professor Grover and Honorable Vice Chancellor for providing me opportunity to interact with you all. Today, I will be discussing how to maintain the well-being of the students of higher education during this COVID-19 pandemic. However, my focus will be very general because quest for well-being is associated with the right from the beginning of the history of the humankind. We all try to find happiness and wellness in our life, and therefore the strategies that will keep us well and happy are same. But definitely the stressors and the difficulties that we are facing right now is different. So let us conceptualize the situation. I have seen three layers. The first layer is the COVID-19 generated general stressors. You can see many of us are facing financial loss. There is uncertainty in the prognosis. Many of us are having prior vulnerability to mental health problems, quarantine and social isolation, lack of adequate information. These are the general stressors, and we all are facing these stressors. But the students are living in this stressful environment, and they are having additional stressor which has been shown in this second layer. There is a sudden shift from traditional to online education system. UNICEF has reported that around 50% of the students, they have also included school students, they are not having access to the online educational resources like internet, computer, smartphone, etc. Technology related anxiety is also there. Many of the students are not aware of these modern technology which we are using in online education. So these are some stressors which are in addition to the general stressors which are present during the pandemic. And as a result, the general response of the stressor, fear, stress, anxiety, depression, lower well-being is already there because of this first layer of stressors. But the academic and career related stressors are further adding to the problems of the students, and therefore maintaining their health and well-being has become a major challenge. And I am happy to see that in India, University Grant Commission, MHRD and other ministries are taking steps to maintain health and well-being. NIMHANS has also taken initiative. Now, just one study I am quoting because there is time limit. There is one survey of international well-being, and 27 countries are involved in that. Most of them are European and American countries, and some African countries are also there. And results from Belgium has come and published. This finding suggests that many students experience a lot of stress as a result of COVID-19 mitigation measures. They reported that they are feeling more workload during this period as compared to the normal period. Study expectations are not clear to them, and this is another stressor. Only 20% or less, they said that they are not worried about their next academic success or the final year academic success. But majority of them were worried how they will succeed the examinations and the courses. Many of them reported that the quality of education that we are receiving during this online education is not that good. A substantial proportion of the students reported that. They are also facing inadequacy of the proper information. University or colleges did not inform them sufficiently how and what measures have been implemented. Similarly, I earlier said financial loss is another thing that these researchers also noted, and a strong feeling of loneliness, depressive complaints. These are the things which are indicating that the students in higher education system are facing difficulties. I am focusing basically for the student audience, and therefore my presentation will be more generic in nature and I will avoid technical details. The scenario that I have presented is definitely very pessimistic, but there is a brighter aspect to focus on. In this online education era, many of us are learning new things. I have learned this Zoom and other things because of this. And when we learn new things, there is a demonstrated, documented research evidence that our brain health becomes better, our cognition becomes better. So it is helping in some way. Similarly, online education is providing a meaningful engagement. It is keeping us mentally active and involved, and therefore it is reducing the effect of social isolation that would otherwise have impacted more to the students. It is also working like a coping tool with other adverse effects of the lockdown. And definitely, if we are studying through online system, we are ensuring our stay at the home and therefore reducing the chance of getting infected and spreading infection. So this is always helpful when we see some positive and brighter side, and this definitely adds to our mental health and well-being. This is very popular definition of the World Health Organization. What is mental health and well-being? It is a complete dynamic state of physical, mental, social, spiritual well-being. We all know, but psychologists, they define well-being as subjective well-being, that wellness or happiness which is experienced by us, and it has two components. The emotional component means feeling more happy, joy and positive emotions, infrequent negative emotion, less worries, tension, anxieties, and we feel satisfied with life. This is the cognitive component, and Dinner is one of the proponent of this model, one of the leader of this subjective well-being. Another view is that this subjective wellness may not, it is essential for well-being, but it is not sufficient for wellness. For example, there are many mental disorders, like if one is in manic state, he may be feeling elated, happy and joyous, but he is not enjoying the psychological well-being. So it is essential for psychological well-being, but it is not sufficient. And therefore, other researchers, RIF is one proponent in this area, and RIF presented 6-dimensional model of psychological well-being, that when we are having a positive attitude towards self, we accept ourselves, we are having or open to the new experiences, we recognize the improvement, that is the personal growth, we are feeling that there is a purpose in life, and the purpose is not just getting job, but purpose in life is that what legacy we are leaving behind. Environmental mastery, the feeling or the sense that we can effectively manage the environment and activities for our own benefit, and we can effectively use the opportunities, autonomy, regulating one's own behavior independent of all the social pressure, peer group pressures, and positive relations with other, meaningful relations with other, with mutual empathy, intimacy, and affection. And these two dimensions of well-being can be said as hedonic. So the subjective well-being approach of dinner is basically a hedonic approach where focus is more on happiness. So it is attaining pleasure and avoiding pain. On the other hand, the Rips model is the eudaimonic approach. Eudaimonia is also literally translated as well-being. So this is the basic concept. Until and unless we know what is well-being, we cannot attain that well-being. So the Western psychological model considers human being as a biological, psychological, and social organism. So this is a human body, but there is a psyche within this, and we are operating in this society and culture. And all three domains influence our health and well-being. For example, hormones, neurotransmitters. Suppose if dopamine is released more, this is a neurotransmitter, it generates experience of pleasure. Similarly, many hormones and biochemicals, like if endorphins are released, we feel happy. Similarly, our psychological thoughts, emotions, behavior, they also influence our mental health. And the social dimension includes the interpersonal relationship following the social norms, cultural norms. So based on this concept of well-being and this conceptualization of the existence of human being, the Western scientific approach prescribes something which influences our biological aspect like exercise, sleeping well, muscular or body relaxation. If we are relaxing our body, our mind become relaxed. As I have shown in the earlier picture, the social, biological, and psychological elements are interconnected. If we are regulating our body, our mind is automatically regulated. Similarly, in psychological aspects, the general prescriptions are creating purpose in life, as I said earlier while defining the Rips model. If we have a purpose in life, if we are striving for that goal orientation is there, we will feel happy and satisfied. Developing new hobbies or reconnecting with the prior hobbies is also one recommendation of the Western psychologist. Mindfulness, which is basically non-judgmental awareness of one's own feeling. And this can be practiced anytime I am speaking and I may become aware of all the things which I am doing. And this type of non-judgmental awareness or mindfulness has been found to enhance subjective as well as psychological well-being. Similarly, if we are learning something new, it makes us engaged, makes us feel happy. Similarly, there are many recommendations for developing positive mental state and positive emotions. For example, recalling positive events, expressing gratitude, our sense of gratitude towards others, writing about a better future can also help you to enhance your well-being. Performing act of kindness, if we are helping, we are having some pro-social behavior that is in the social aspect also, that will also help. Practicing forgiveness has emerged as one of the best techniques for enhancing well-being. And this forgiveness is not limited to forgive others, but we should also forgive for our own fault and our own shortcoming. So self-forgiveness is as good as forgiving others. Similarly, we should try to focus on our strengths. We should try to identify our strengths, and the perception of our own strength, evaluation of our own strengths provide a lot of energy and happiness and satisfaction to us. And finally, by talking about our own health, our own emotional distress to others, expressing our emotions to others, and if it is difficult to talk with others, we can write our own emotions in a diary form. And these emotional expressions help to reduce the negative affect. Similarly, at social aspect, when we try to connect with others, keeping the social distancing in this time, so over Skype, over WhatsApp, or by other means. So the positive interpersonal relationship will definitely foster the mental health and well-being during this COVID, as well as in general way also. Similarly, pro-social behavior and spiritual and religious practices can help to enhance the subjective well-being. Now, I am coming to the indigenous Indian approach. The Indian approach, the health is called swast or swastha in Sanskrit, swastha. So, attaining one true self is attaining health and wellness. And according to this Indian view, the health and wellness always lies within us. It is not something that has to be imported from outside. I will give just one example. Suppose we purchase a new white branded shirt. However we keep it during course of time, it will lose its whiteness, it will become dirty. But do we put some whiteness from the outside? Do we put white paint on it to regain its whiteness? No. What we do, we put the dirty white cloth in water, we put some detergent, and what happens that detergent and water dissolves the impurities which are there in the fabric. They are all coming out in the water, segmenting there, and the cloth regains its whiteness. This is the Indian view that by birth we are happy and blissful, but in the course of interaction with this society and the external world, we develop mental health issues, stress and problems. So all the practices that will help us to regain our true self will be helpful for maintaining our health and well-being. I will prescribe I will discuss the yogic prescriptions and one prescription from Bhagavad Gita. But before that, unlike the Western model, which is conceiving human being as three-layered, the biological existence, psychological existence, and social existence, the yogic and Upanistic view says that the human being is having 5 bodies. It is a 5-layered body. The outer body, which is visible to us, this is the biological body, is called the physical sheath or the Annamaya course. And there is another body, which is vital energy body called Pranamaya course. And breath is related to the prana. And then comes the mental sheath, the psychic body, the mind, the mental aspect. Then the Vijnanamaya course, the sheath or the body of the intellect and knowledge. And under that, there is a bliss sheath, the seed that is called Anandamaya course. We feel blissful, and when we transcend all these 5 layers of the human existence bodies, then we attain our true self, which is lying beneath the blissful seed. And as I have shown in this figure, that they are interlinked. You can imagine that there are 5 benzels interconnected with each. And suppose this is vibrating, it is not in harmony and balance. We are feeling stress. If we will try to make stable any one of the benzels, say suppose I am holding the physical sheath, the sheath which is adjacent to that will start becoming stable. And as the second sheath becomes stable, the third one will also become stable. So this yogic view say that if we control, if we do attain the mastery in controlling even the body using say asanas, we can attain the pure self. But it is always better to work on different sheath. So for working at the physical level, there are a lot of asanas. The previous speaker also highlighted the role of yoga. So asanas and satkarmas like Sankh Prakshalan, Neti, Thoti, these are the practices which basically influence the physical body, but by balancing the hormones, neurotransmitters, and many other biochemicals, it influences our mental existence also, our mental well-being also, and it also influences our vital energy body, that is the pranamaya kosa. And gradually, if we do only practices related to asanas or focusing on physical body, we can attain the real health and wellness. But pranayama, if added to that, it will help more. And it is just in Western terminology, it is a breathing exercise. And we all know that stress, anxiety, they are associated with hypoxia, a state of the brain. The brain is hypoxic. It is having low oxygen supply. And when we do deep breathing or say do Anulom Vilom Pranayam, we are reversing that hypoxic state to normoxic state, and therefore we can attain mental health and wellness. Similarly, the practice of Pratyahara Dharana Dhyan, but in the present day, all are clubbed together in meditation. So if we are doing meditation, it can help us to improve our mental health and well-being. However, the optimal state of wellness that is conceived in the yogic tradition will come when we transcend all the 5 levels of bodily existence and we attain or feel the pure consciousness that is true self. It is very metaphysical. I will not discuss that. So, if we are coming to Bhagavad Gita, there are many prescriptions in Bhagavad Gita. There are many yoga. The chapters are named like Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. All of them are helpful for attaining wellness from Indian perspective. But I will focus on Asakti because it has been scientifically tested in Allahabad University. Professor R.K. Naidu, Professor Manita Pandey, and many other researchers of the Allahabad University, they developed a tool to measure non-attachment, anasakti, based on basically the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and the other chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And using that scale, they noted that those who scored high on anasakti enjoyed better mental health and well-being. So developing anasakti can help us. And if we are feel attached, it can ruin the man. I will read one sloka of the Bhagavad Gita that explains this, and I will translate it in English. Dhayet Vishyan Punsa Sangaste Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamah Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Ismriti Vibrama Ismrit Bhansad Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashiti. This means that when we focus on the external worldly object, we develop attachment, sangat, sanjayate, kama, and when we develop attachment, we develop the need to get that object. And when we are having that need to get the worldly object, and when that worldly need is frustrated, then we feel anger. And this sloka says that gradually this leads to infatuation, and then ultimately it ruins the intellect and the whole human being. So if we can develop, though it is very difficult, I will describe Vinoba Bhave. When he was in prison, he used to do commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and 2 books are very popular of the Vinoba Bhave. In one of the book, he has very simply prescribed how we can achieve the state of anasakti. He said that we should develop attachment first to the self and family that is already there. Then we should try to extend this attachment to others. So we should feel connected with the neighbors, with the friends, with our students, and then go on extending this. And when we feel Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole universe is my own family, and then when we feel attached with all, we attain a state of automatically attain a state of non-attachment. and these some practices of Gita, yoga, they can help to attain mental health and well-being. So the take-home message is that wellness or well-being of an individual lies within himself, herself. It has not to be imported from outside, but because of our own thoughts, emotion, behaviors, we are responsible, but we do not realize. We develop a lot of mental stress for us, a lot of mental health issues and problems. And these issues and problems can be solved because we can restore our well-being by balancing our body and mind using the Western view that I have discussed or using the Indian view that I also discussed. So with these words, I thank you all and hope that you stay safe and stay at home. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It can't be better than this, addressing almost all problems faced by students in these COVID times and guiding them beautifully with our traditional approaches, that is how to cope up with this. This becomes much more appreciable when we know you joined this symposium despite having emergency at your home. Once again, we all thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time. Now, I will take this opportunity to welcome